All right, everybody. We are on episode 17 of the MAREI podcast. We're here today with Aaron Elyachar, commercial agent, commercial multifamily agent. I've known Aaron for probably a few years. We met a while back on looking at a property, and now obviously you're learning some consulting stuff, still in the commercial multifamily, starting the family, working with. Senior living stuff. You're a busy dude. Go ahead and introduce everybody, or introduce yourself to everybody, I should say, and we'll get into some questions.
Fantastic. John, thank you so much for having me on your podcast. I've been hearing a lot about Boulder Creek Investments, and you guys are just absolutely smashing it, and hopefully one day I can smash it myself. Well, again, my name is Aaron Elyachar. I am a husband, dog dad, soon to be human dad, July 9th or July 10th, or maybe sooner, musician, homeowner, marathon runner, and a kind of crazy person who loves to help out a few too many people. I'm also an Eagle Scout.
Very cool. Very cool. So I guess my first question nowadays to people, just because we're having the pandemic stuff, how's the pandemic affected you just in real estate or personal life right now? Anything pretty big? Obviously, you've been all staying at home, but what about as far as like business? Anything major there?
I mean, business-wise, it's been kind of stale, and it's been kind of stale for a bit, but I've really been trying to pick up deals. I mean, it hasn't really affected my cold calling, hasn't really affected that type of stuff. I mean, in the beginning, instead of calling, because I focus now on senior living. As I mentioned to you earlier, I focus on senior living, and a lot of investors in senior living were looking to stay put during COVID. And I say, hey, wanted to see how your facilities are doing amid COVID-19. Want to see how you guys are handling it, and let me know what's going on. And I realized a lot of these facilities are doing just fine. A lot of people weren't looking to necessarily sell. And now I'm slowly integrating back in my services and letting people know, saying, hey, I'm here. I'd love to connect with you. And that's really what we're doing. I'm trying to set up as many Zoom meetings and many podcast showings and as many appointments as possible, so that way I can really do my business. But in terms of actual deal flow and actual stuff like that, it's been kind of stale for me, unfortunately. So
Well, I mean, I think for a lot of people it has been, because, people don't want to list during the pandemic because no one could go see it. People are going to lowball. Stuff's starting to come back, obviously, now that stuff's starting to open up. But, obviously we're getting all this information about different waves. So it's going to be a rough, I think, second half of the year.
I agree.
For the senior living stuff, so you're working with a group, and you are helping the group obtain or broker a deal, or looking for investment groups to sell? What's your role there?
In terms of senior living, I'm working as a referral partner for a company called Haven Senior Investments.
Okay.
I'm working with them on bringing deals through Kansas and Missouri. So like basically from like Goodland, Kansas to St. Louis, Missouri. Like Kansas, Missouri, that is my territory. I've been with them for the last 6 months. I was a territory manager down in Texas, but since I'm in Kansas City and don't know very much about Texas,
Sure.
My whole life is here, I figured this would be a better fit for me to be in the Kansas, Missouri area, because I can see the market, drive the market, really know what's going on. And so we're focusing right now on building as many relationships as possible and trying to serve as many people as possible. And so what I do is I find the property with my role at Haven on the senior housing side. What I typically do is I find the properties, I meet with the owners, I do due diligence, I do all this stuff. I find out what they need, what their needs analysis is, do an initial deep dive. And then what I do is I relay that back to the team at Haven, whether that be the financing team, development team, consulting team. I bring that to them and I talk with them. I bring that on and say, hey, this is what this person's looking for. This person's looking for X, Y, Z. They're looking to reposition themselves increase rents. They're looking to have better operations improvements. And what we typically do is we have a consulting agreement. I mean, senior living takes a long time, but I'm focused right now on under 20 units because I think there's a bigger market for it. And you have a lot of mom and pops that are looking to get out. And I think a lot of other senior living facilities are doing that. And eventually I'm probably going to go 30, 40, 50, compete with the CBREs, Marcus and Millichap's, senior housing investment brokerage, compete with those guys. That's my long-term goal, is to really compete with the big boys and just build on that business and build the 8 to 20 units and 10 to 20 units, I should say, and just focus on building and building and building that much more. And
No, yeah.
that's really my focus, is to build the relationships and try to find ways we can serve them and how I can help and provide the best value possible. That's really my goal, is to get these mom and pop owners heading in the right direction.
And as we know, everyone gets older, and the baby boomer story is definitely still there.
Oh yeah.
That's for sure. And on the multifamily side, commercial multifamily side too, you work with investors and everything on that side. Tell us a little bit about what sizes you like to work, or what areas, similar sizes.
This is going to be a couple pronged question. I'm going to answer this from a brokerage standpoint.
Okay.
I'm also going to answer this from I'm going to answer the first one from a brokerage standpoint. The second one I'm going to answer from a personal standpoint. Okay. On a brokerage standpoint, I'd like to go for the bigger deals, but who doesn't? I mean, a lot of people like to go for the bigger deals. I personally like to go for deals that are anywhere from like 10 to about 100 units, Class C properties. I like to work with the people who are really trying to serve others and trying to find the best value, not necessarily build on that. Multifamily, I haven't really done much on multifamily fronts. I do need to get back in touch with a bunch of multifamily people and talk with them about senior living, because a lot of people that are in multifamily are going to be shifting over to senior living or active adult. You're seeing a lot more investors really focusing on it. And at least in Kansas City, on a brokerage standpoint, I can name probably 20 or 30 multifamily brokers like Gabe Tovar or Logan Freeman or Lauren Kirby. I can name those people offhand, but senior living brokerage, I know Tutera, but they're more property management and they're more buyers. I cannot think of a single senior living broker in Kansas City except for myself. And I'm not trying to toot my own horn or anything, but
I couldn't name one, so you're the first. So there you go.
I focus only on senior living. I think there's a humongous demand for it, and I figured now's the time to do it. And joining John and his team at Haven has really helped propel me. I mean, John is all about teaching and all about servancy and all really about. I mean, they are the leading faith-based advisory firm, and I focus my time on really trying to build my brand and focus on building them up and partnering with them on trying to find the best thing possible for each of these deals, like whether it be development, operations improvements, refinancing, financing, or the ultimate sale of a property. So that's basically because I basically source deals like all day long. I call, I do due diligence. I look on their LinkedIn to see what's going on. I talk with property owners. I talk with people in the industry. I mean, I spoke with a bunch of auditors at BKD earlier this month. Like, I spoke with Julie Pasco and her team at BKD down in Springfield about senior living, and it was really fascinating. And I'm working with a gentleman right now who's got some land he wants to build senior living, like a really nice senior living complex. And he is a former multifamily developer, been in the business for 25 plus years. They turn around multifamily like the back of their hand, and got another property on the plaza. And so we're really focusing in on building that up. And right now I'm trying to get in front of as many senior housing people and multifamily people as possible, just to understand fully what they're doing. I'm not necessarily trying to make any deals happen this year. What I would like to do is I'd like to build relationships, as I know eventually that's going to win. I'm playing long game on this one, not necessarily the hard, short transactional game.
Here's a question. obviously there's set up senior living places that were built that way from the beginning. Um, do you see the ability to look at multifamily apartment complex to turn it into a
It
uh,
really,
senior apartment complex?
I mean, it really depends on the type of deal it is. If it's like I mean, senior living to from multifamily to senior living might be a little bit more difficult because you have to have there's so many regulations with
Hmm.
Missouri, at least in the United States. Whenever you build a senior living, it has to be a feasibility. So if it's like it needs to have, if it's like a garden style converting that to senior living, you have to have like elevators, you have to have places where people, you have to make it accessible, and you have to have like ADA compliance. You have to have so many things that are in place. There's so many regulations. You have a lot of hoops to jump through. You're seeing quite a few people saying people are saying they want to convert hotels to senior living. I
Hmm.
mean, I spoke with a gentleman who owns some hotels in Midtown Kansas City not too long ago, and he wants to convert his hotels to senior living because he realizes it's going down the tube fairly quickly, and he's not sure when
Especially
he's going.
now for hotels.
And they're seeing that. And let me tell you something. That process in itself is incredibly difficult because you have to have a lot of hotels. You have a lot of small space. With senior living, you have to have you. I mean, you technically could do that, but you have to have the staff. You have to have all the codes in place. I mean, a lot of this hotel bathrooms, no offense, you go in, it's very small. It's very, if you're going to like a Holiday Inn, you see it's kind of a hard to maneuver yourself. Imagine yourself in a wheelchair, or you have to like go up flights of stairs.
Right,
It's kind of
right.
difficult. So you have to have like
Elevators, ramps.
elevators, ramps, dining services, all that stuff you have to have. I mean, you could technically do that, but converting that is just, it's, I mean, a lot of people at Haven, the development guy at our team, he basically has said, and I quote, it's probably the most difficult to do. And you've had quite a few people trying to do that. You could do that, but it's going to probably, I wouldn't say a disaster, but it'd be going through so many hoops. Not sure if it might be worth it. So it could either,
Gotcha.
but in terms of multifamily going into senior housing, that you could do, but it really depends on the type of multifamily you have. It really depends. Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, obviously there's a lot of stuff that goes into it, and if you're used to doing codes and permits to designate somewhere as a senior space, do you get any tax benefits from the state if you designate it that way, or is it that you can only accept like 55 and older? Is that the only benefit kind of there? I assume you get maybe some tax benefits.
In terms of tax benefits, I'm gonna have to find out about tax benefits. It really also depends on the deal of like I mentioned before, it really depends on the deal. But in order to find tax credits, that I'm gonna have to look that up to find a good answers. I don't want to say an answer that could be wrong.
Yeah, no worries. We just know that it's easier to have a facility or some property that's set up for senior living versus making it into one. That makes sense.
Yeah, I mean it's better. I think it's, to be honest with you, I think it's really good. It's much better to have a ground up facility than it is to have a conversion of a facility. You
Sure.
could do, I mean, you could do a conversion of a facility. You could still do that, but I mean, it's actually easier to convert from a senior living facility to something
Sure.
else.
Yeah,
There's
that's a
quite a
good
few
point.
people. When I lived in Oklahoma City a couple of years ago, the mentor, one of my mentors in the guy I worked for, Bob, he had a senior living facility for sale, and he was looking at a deal there, and I saw quite a few people looking to get out of that. And there was a former facility you could still technically build a new facility in there, but you have to have a lot of upgrades. And I think with technology and with so many advances in the facilities, you have to have like, you always got to forge forward. So not sure if this is part of the question, but you're going to be seeing a lot more mom and pops and a lot of older facilities either getting retrofitted and a lot of people are going to be spending hundreds of thousands of dollars over the course of their ownership just to keep up with the times that they want to attain and attract residents.
Makes sense.
Retain, I meant to say.
Yeah, I mean, it's a never-ending battle for code compliance, and obviously, just like multifamily, obviously, you want to keep your properties looking good, even if it's not for senior citizens. What what would you say for the real estate crowd out there that's looking to get into commercial multifamily? Do you kind of have any advice for them on what to look for, or maybe trouble not to get into also?
Oh man, don't go in selling your services. I mean, just go in trying to build a relationship. Try to build a relationship. Don't necessarily sell your services right away. I'm guilty of this too. Go in, say, hey, I'm calling about this property. I know may not be looking to sell, but I'd love to have a conversation with you about what you might be looking to do. Would you be open to that? Just trying to build yourself in that way. If you're going in for the sale, I get so many people calling me right away for a sale, and I just hang up the phone right away. And I know, and it's happened to me, and it actually happened to me multiple times in the last couple weeks working with a gentleman down in Florida, building his business out on the consulting level. And it's about building the relationship and just understanding where people are at. And once you have that initial conversation, you just keep on following up, get their emails, understand where they are, driving back to who you are, driving back to the company they work for. And eventually people will know who you are. After you meet with people, write thank you notes. I mean, there's several bits of advice that I have. First off, do not go and research who they are before you make the call. Research who they are and find out everything you know about the property, when they bought it, how many units or how many beds they are. Find out everything about it, like when it was for sale, if they have other properties in the area. Find out everything about them so that way you can have a conversation, because nobody likes a blank conversation. Say, hey, I'm calling about I heard you own a building. I don't know, but if you call about the building you have, you go on and say, I'd like to speak with you about this. I've got a building that just recently sold XYZ. I'd like to have a conversation. You're just trying to get a meeting with them. A lot of people, they don't necessarily do that. And that's kind of I don't know, it's been kind of hard in that sense, but that's one bit of advice. The second bit of advice is you got to be able to have a good stomach to get into it. Investing is, like a lot of other guests on your show, investing is a long game. If you're in for the short game, go on Robinhood. Seriously, just go on Robinhood. Go on.
Hey, shoot. I guess the last 2 months, people have been killing it in the stock market, but that's because everyone won almost.
Go in the stock market. I mean, if you're looking to go in the stock, if you're looking to do short-term investing, just go in like Robinhood, which I think is really good, by the way. I'm in Robinhood, but I just do it more for fun than anything.
Sure.
Go to Robinhood, go to E-Trade, go to Chuck, go to the small to medium-sized things or whatever. If you're looking to do real estate, it's all about, or go invest in a turkey sandwich if you want the short-term investment.
No, that's good advice.
Eat the turkey sandwich, seriously. And but if you're looking to do investing, whether it be multifamily or anything else, you're in for the long game. It's about building the business and building a relationship. Your number one goal is to build the relationship and find out how you can serve others. How can you serve them? What can you do to provide value? Find out ways that you can say, we provide X, Y, and Z. I'm partnering. For me, I would say I partner with Haven Real Estate, Haven Senior Living, or Haven Senior Investments. And would you like to have a conversation about senior living? Because I don't know very much. I mean, my team knows way more than I do. And when I was at Haven, when I was on there, I mean, I'm one of the youngest guys that I know about. I mean, The second youngest person was the founder, and he's like 52 years old. 52 years old, has 2 kids. One is 15 and shoots hoops. The other one, 12 years old, I think. Could be wrong, but it's kind of one of those things that you build up and build up and build up. That's the type of business you got to be in. You got to have the mindset of, I'm going to grow today. I'm going to find out a way. It's about having a growth mindset and also being able to do that. I mean, find out who the closest investors are and find out and meet as many people as possible. Know who your competitors are and find a way to work with your competitors and be friendly with them. Even if you guys don't necessarily do business together, just be friendly with them, because one day you may have a deal. Your competitors may know way more than you do. And you might get a slice of the pie. And also you got to be able to really understand the market and go in and be able to understand and have a plan before you really jump in. I didn't have a plan jumping in, and it's kind of bit me in the butt. And I'm not doing that again, like biting myself in the butt and not going in without a plan. So bits of advice, versions, get to know as many people as possible, have a plan when you're getting into it, go in for the long game, and really get to know the person and truly understand them, and don't sell to people. Just don't sell. Just provide the best value you can.
No, that was definitely a bunch of tips for sure. And what's awesome is that you were stressing it's a long game. I just interviewed Chris Lindquist, and he says, I don't know when real estate became like a get rich quick type thing. And I felt like it's kind of, been the cool thing to do, the last 5 years. Everybody wants to rent a place, buy real estate, do flips and rehabs, and wants to make money instantly. But it's definitely long haul. It's hard. It takes a lot of money. The shininess wears off, especially, if you're doing your own rentals, because, I've managed myself and leased and marketed and done tons of rehabs myself, and it gets old, when you're there on the weekend or after hours, when you'd rather be having fun or spending time with family. It's a chore, so you got to somewhat like it. And like you said, it's a long haul when you're working with new investors. You can't want to get that quick sale or the quick deal, because it's a long-term game. And I always tell people, hey, we could have like 30, 40 more years of needing to make a living, working with each other. We're kind of a group of guys in whatever, it's late 20s, early 30s. We're going to be those guys when we're 50, 60 that be like, yeah, I've worked with them for 30 years. And then we're going to look down at, all the new guys starting. But we need to keep these relationships going with us and the community, because, we're going to run into each other possibly for decades doing.
I agree. I mean, I've got
sharing referrals.
I mean, I'll give you an example. I mean, I have so many mentors in the business. I mean, one of them is Butch Rigby. I mean, every couple months, I mean, obviously with COVID being a thing, I haven't done it much, but being with Butch Rigby and hearing his stories, I mean, every Wednesday, we always met at a Wednesday morning around 7:00 at the Classic Cup Cafe. And he was always reading the New York Times, always willing to lend a hand and always willing to speak about what's going on deal-wise. I got to meet several of his partners. He's one of the smartest guys in the business. I just was like, I want to be like him when I get older. I mean, seeing guys who are really, really good with what they do and how you build upon business. I mean, he's really, really good at building relationships. I mean, he's had the same group of guys at his table. I mean, I met with him for 2 years every single Wednesday I was there, the exact same people were there. One of them happened to be like a former commissioner for the city. Another one, her husband happened to be a humongous philanthropist, and her family by default was philanthropists, and they happened to know my family. And there were a few other people who, I mean, I saw him just go at it and how he did it. I mean, there was another gentleman who's brought me several different deals. I mean, a gentleman brought me a deal for $1.5 million in a 28-acre industrial complex, but I ended up I brought that deal to Butch and a few other people. I could have brought the deal. I mean, I could have had $1.2 million financed to hit by him, but I wanted to be able to know who I was going to put in there, what I needed to do, how much am I going to need to spend in order to refurbish these buildings or tear it down or rebuild a community. What is the long-term game plan? And I'm not going to go invest in something until I have a plan in place and not go in willy-nilly without a real solid plan. That's for anything, whether that be senior living, a house, or 28-acre land out by 18th Street Expressway in KCK. I mean, it really depends on the types of deals you're doing. And I have so many mentors. I mean, I listen to Robert Kiyosaki. I just happened to listen to the Rebel podcast, the Rebel Capitalist show on Spotify on my way to and from the sonogram today for my wife. I listen to Dave Ramsey. I listen to so many people who are talking about money and just getting myself acclimated with it. I mean, I listen to Bigger Pockets. I listen to so many things that are just helpful. I mean, finding out what others are doing and do them and find out how you can implement those into your daily life, like how you can implement that type of stuff. Like that's really what I'm trying to do. And being on these types of podcasts, listening to people who are just building and building and building. That's kind of, and try to be able to build something for yourself and be able to impact the community at the same time. Like that's really what the name of the game is.
No, yeah, I mean, like you know, you hit on it, self-development, looking at, I don't know, there are a group of people out there that it's funny. You could bring them to the watering hole, but you can't force them to drink. And
Amen.
like you tell them, hey, that stove's hot, and they still touch the stove. I was like, look, you got all this information, you got all these successful people, take after them and kind of mimic them, make it in your own personal way. You don't have to make the mistakes. You don't really have to necessarily take the longest road. You could kind of supersede some of that and be a little bit more efficient by, keeping learning and hanging out with the right people. Networking huge, as we all know. Our network is the net worth type thing.
Amen.
Amen. And it's all about relationships, definitely for the long term. It's tough to see when you're younger because you're always just wanting the deal done. You want the paycheck, but all the older guys, like you're saying, it's all about service related, and you just automatically grow by referrals and having those relationships. For sure. Because it's more than a one-time transaction. Like I always tell people, I was like getting into partnerships and scaling with partners because it's a long-term thing. We might have a different mindset if we were like 90 and you just kind of care about, if you're going to play bingo tomorrow, but we both of us and all of us around our age, we got a long road. So
that we do. We've got a very long road ahead of us. And I was telling my wealth advisor, I was telling my wife, I said, I'm not going to be retiring until I'm at least 75 or 80 years old. And
right.
People were like, why? Why are you not retiring when you're 60 or 65? Well, guess what? A lot of these people have the mindset of go to work 9 to 5, have a 401k, have a pension plan, which, by the way, pensions are going to be gone by the time you and I are reaching retirement age.
For
and
sure.
401ks, yeah, you're going to make money, but you're not going to make diddly, to be quite honest with you.
What I even say about those is with the fees and, government control of markets. I mean, I would argue that, you don't really obviously have much control. And I feel like the market just fleeces 401kers every so many years, and then you're back to zero while, and plus opportunity cost is huge for people that, only invest a lot of their money in those retirement accounts. For the money you could do right now, you could do so much more from yourself.
You really could. That's why I'm focusing my time and my efforts, not necessarily on. That's why I do 1099s. And the last time I had a W-2 job, the last time I had a W-2 was my first job out of college, and I didn't even last 6 months in it. I ended up leaving after like I mean, I ended up gaining like 40 pounds, and I was just like, I had like 2 panic attacks in 1 week.
Too
And
and complacent probably too, just like
I'm just like, you know what? I'm not going to be, I strive not to be complacent. And I
right,
never have been, I've never been a complacent guy. I'm like, okay, what's next? Okay, what's
right.
next? But you also got to sit back and be like, okay, you got to be able to have faith and be able to realize and be altruistic. But at the same time, though, you got to also be able to build upon. I mean, I've and have some sort of faith in God and have some sort of faith. I mean, having faith is really what the other thing is too. You got to be able to have the man or the woman upstairs and understand what's going on. I mean, it's all about understanding how people are doing and trying to understand how you can provide value to others. Like that's really the name of the game.
Makes sense. Makes sense. So as we wrap it up here, do you obviously no one could tell the future? Do you feel pretty strong? Obviously, strong about the senior living market, but do you feel pretty strong about real estate in general? Obviously, we had a crap ton of money printing. Real estate it hasn't gotten cheaper. People are still overpaying for residential houses. What's your
I agree.
opinion there?
All righty. So this might be a little bit of a long-winded answer to a short question. So I do want to apologize in advance. I think real estate overall is going to still do really, really well in the long. Since I told you about playing the long game and playing long ball, I think real estate's going to really you're still going to be investing quite a bit of money. And I think there's still going to be a lot of people who are going to be getting into real estate and realizing the value of real estate and realizing the value of building their wealth for their family and for future generations. And I think overall it's going to go great. I think in terms of senior living, I highly recommend it. I
Mhm.
think there's going to be way more people getting into senior living between like 5 to 10 years from now. But I think prices are only going to rise that much more, and there are going to be way more mom and pops selling their properties. There are going to be way more people building and building and building up on that. And I think eventually you're going to be seeing way more multifamily investors and a few other investors go into senior living because they realize that's where there's going to be a humongous demand. I mean, Gene Guarino and his Silver Tsunami, I mean, it's really, really good with what people are doing. I mean, the lady I'm working with right now, direct descendant or direct person from the Gene Guarino school, and I've seen a success level, and I figured, you know what, this is an opportunity. And he uncovered something that many people haven't realized yet. Maybe he's had maybe 1,000 or 100 people do it, but I think you're going to be seeing a lot more people investing in senior living. Right now, it may not be the best time to do it if you're looking for the short term. I do see a higher demand starting in the next 5 to 10 years, like I mentioned. You're going to be seeing a lot more things being converted. You're seeing a lot more conversions of retail to office, office to like multifamily or senior living, and you're seeing
Mhm.
apartments apartments are still going to be king no matter how you slice it. So I think what you guys are doing is good. Working from home will be a new norm.
Yep.
It's going to allow many people to have money in their pockets in the long term. So let's just say you have a $50,000 a year job. After taxes, you're going to be making $35,000. And if you're driving to and from work, finding parking, doing all that stuff, you're going to be saving at least $1,000 a year, and that's $1,000 you can invest in yourself or your family.
Sure.
And that's kind of what's going on there. I mean, my wife and I are both working from home now. I mean, we go into separate rooms. I mean, we share an office, and I yap like crazy. She's just like typing on the computer, being the controller and working on numbers. I'm just like meeting people, and I talk loudly, and I sometimes just go at it and
Same here.
don't care. I mean, it's also going to and it's also going to allow for more people to realize that they don't need a W-2 and spending the money building a side hustle. That's what they can also do. And so that way they can have more and more income. Maybe one day they'll have a podcast just like you. And I'm actually looking to start a podcast myself. There's somebody out there who can ring true. I think for the real estate, retail, as we know it, is dying, but I think there's going to be a resurgence as shells of what they once were. It'll be a lot more pickup experiences. There's going to be a lot more like shell kitchens. There's going to be a lot more shell space. You're going to be seeing a lot more front-facing stores. Main Street retail isn't dying, but it's just going to look a lot different. industrial's going on an uptick. Multifamily and single family investments are still going to boom. And even if it busts, it's still going to boom again. It'll be senior living and medical care that's really going to be doing that. That's what I see industry outlook wise. Can you repeat the question one more time? Because I think I may have a few more things.
No. That's a lot of it. I mean, I was just wanting to know, what you saw overall in the market. It sounds like you were hitting along the same points that I think, a lot of conversion from, retail and maybe even office building, whether it's into multifamily or even those investors coming into multifamily and senior, because like a lot of businesses understand that you might not need an office building and pay that rental and have that insurance that people can work from home, just like we're doing right now. And then, and I also agree with you, multifamily, if prices are this strong is because obviously supply and demand issue. With prices still increasing, people can't afford homes. We're not building 150 to 250K homes. It's all like 400 plus. So that's going to, increase demand for multifamily living. Plus, just being millennials, not maybe wanting / affording homes. I mean, you're right on track of what I see people saying, industry leaders and, fellow colleagues.
I mean, that's kind of what I see too. I think there's a lot of people, and in terms of the economy, the dollar's going to collapse. You heard it here first. The dollar's going to collapse. And in fact, it's already collapsing right now. People are printing and printing and printing money. I mean, this is what I've heard on Kiyosaki, and this is what I've heard on George Gammon's Rebel podcast. The dollar's collapsing. And I've told my wife about this. She's like, nah, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I said, listen, there's an underlying issue. Yeah, COVID-19 is taking over the news, which is still a humongous issue. And I'm not discounting it, but I think the bigger issue is the unemployment. And so many people are relying on the dollar. I'm guilty of it. A lot of people are relying so much on the dollar that it's going to collapse under its own weight. And you got to be able to find other ways to invest. And that's really going to be, and you got to be able to have that mindset of being rich. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot more people realizing that their dollar is going to be gone and their dollar is not going to be worth as much. And the economy is going to go to shoot. And you're going to be seeing a lot more of that. I mean, I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong on that, but I do see the economy going on a rebound. I mean, it's a cycle. I mean, we've had the biggest bull run for the last 12 years. And right now I saw this in 2016 with multifamily. I saw prices peaking. I thought it was prices peaking. I could be wrong, but I feel like you're going to be seeing a lot more prices going down. But it will not be as bad as 08. But you're going to be seeing a lot more of the 08 type. This is going to be a much worse. It's going to be a much worse crash than it is in 08. I think it is, and I'd rather just wait. I'm waiting to invest and just pouncing on it and just accumulating as much money as I can now. That's part of the other reason why I'm not really focusing on so many other deals and just working on the consulting stuff, building my family and doing that stuff. Because I think this time next year, I could be wrong, but prices are going to be cheaper and there's going to be a lot more foreclosures going on because businesses are not able to get paid because a lot of businesses can't function, like restaurants and other spaces. Those are not going to be, I mean, a lot of multifamily owners, a lot of people may not be able to get paid. And I think you're going to be seeing a lot more defaults going in, a lot more foreclosures. So I think this is going to be an even bigger time for people to buy. So I think this is the greatest opportunity. I might get some flack for this, but this is the greatest time for anybody to buy right now. This is the greatest time. This is the greatest thing having COVID-19 is the greatest thing that's ever happened to this country. So it makes people wake up and realize what's really going on. And also, I'm going to get flack for that. I know I will, but having COVID-19 for this country is the greatest thing that's ever happened because it makes people realize what's really important. It makes people realize, oh, I don't need that. I don't need that W-2. I don't need that 401k. Pensions are going to be gone. There's just so much stuff that's going on. You got to be able to build your own stuff and build your own life and not let anybody boss you around. Because let me tell you something, you could be cut like that.
And a lot of people seen that because what do we have? Definitely millions and millions. I think it reached up to 30 million for unemployed. So
Jesus, Moses, holy cow.
yeah, that's for sure true. And I always like to tout inflation because of so much money printing. Inflation is always on the rise, and it's going to be insane over the years. So I think being in inflation hedged assets like real estate businesses, stocks, that's going to jump up with inflation. You that's what you're going to have to be in. You can't obviously keep it in the bank because you're not getting anything for it. Not like
I agree.
before. So yeah, it'll be interesting. Obviously, we got third and fourth quarter. It's not going to look good from a business standpoint because business is horrible the last couple of months. So I think we still got some shockwaves. We got obviously the news always dumping bad info out there. So
Media, listen, people, the thing is, media, they thrive. I mean, the government thrives off of negativity.
yeah, that's a fact.
Media has negativity. Even if there's so much good news going on, they're going to find the one bad thing and exploit that.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, with COVID-19, you have so much news coverage on COVID-19, you're missing out on what else people, and they have the recovery. I mean, I've been watching the local news and they have the recovery and what other people are doing, which is absolutely phenomenal. But you got to be able to realize there's more to life than just COVID-19. There's more to life than you just got to be careful, mask up, and really
You
and just
can't.
be respectful. That's really what it is. I mean, Kansas City, Missouri just had Kansas City, Missouri, and a lot of other states in Johnson County by Friday, you got to be able to mask up when you're in public. And I mean, I have not been able to hug my parents in the last like 3 or 4 months because of COVID-19. I mean, I couldn't even hug my mom at my own wedding. I mean,
Wow.
I couldn't even hug my mom at my own wedding, which is, I mean, we got married during a pandemic, and that was just kind of the craziest thing. I wasn't able to hug my family. I mean, we were supposed to have a wedding in Destin, Florida. I mean, I had my guys and she had her girls, and my brother was flying in from New York. I mean, everybody was flying in from like all over the country, like Seattle, Los Angeles, Fort Myers, Denver, Columbia, Kansas City, Tennessee. People from all over the country were flying in for our wedding, and none of them could come watch our wedding. And my family, I've got a 80-person family on my dad and my mom's side of the family. People wanted to see me get married, and unfortunately, because of COVID, none of that took place. We just had a private ceremony with just our parents. My brother couldn't attend in person my wedding. Like, that's the type of stuff that's been going on with COVID, and it's tough, but it makes you realize what's truly, truly important. That's why I said COVID-19 is the greatest thing that's ever happened to this country.
Sure.
That's why I say that, because it makes people realize what's truly important on an economic standpoint and on a business standpoint and on a personal and business standpoint, and find out what's really, really what people really are looking at. Like, that's why I said that.
Mm-hmm.
I need to clarify that. So
No, it's definitely there's always silver lining, and I think as a side effect, people did realize that for sure. Sometimes it's the small stuff. Go ahead and give people your contact info on how they can contact you for either commercial or the senior stuff.
I'm going to go ahead and give you guys my email address, and I will give my phone number out in an email. So if you want to reach out to me, there are several ways you can do that. LinkedIn, Aaron Elyachar. Just so my name is, I'm not sure if you guys will have like on the titles. Look up Aaron, Aaron, last name Elyachar, Elyachar. I've got a real estate Facebook page called Aaron Elyachar Commercial Real Estate. You can also add me as a friend on Facebook. I'm pretty good at that. Twitter is not my thing, unfortunately. I'm not on TikTok yet or Instagram. I'm not really a big Instagram guy, unfortunately, but I need to get back on it and just probably set up another email just for my Instagram or whatever, just really build my brand there. LinkedIn and Facebook are really my two biggest traffic sites. Email-wise, my email is Elyachar@elyacharinvestments.com. So again, that is AELY Elyachar at Elyachar Investments, Elyachar Investments, investments.com. John, if you want to go ahead and I will go ahead and send you the links to all my. I'll go ahead and send you the links to my email address, my Facebook page, my LinkedIn page, so that way people can go ahead and add me, and I'm more than happy to speak with people. And if you guys want my private phone number, just go ahead and message me on any of those things, and I'll be happy to give that out to you. And I'm love to have conversations with everybody on it.
No, sounds good, Aaron. Appreciate the info. It's good to see what fellow real estate investor and people who's out in the trenches every day is seeing and what they're thinking forward. So I'm sure the real estate community too appreciates your views.
Thank you so much. John, like I mentioned before, you guys doing this podcast is amazing. And I'm really, really happy that, I'm telling you what, I'm really happy that you are building this up and doing your real estate podcast. And I think this is an absolutely great avenue for people to really get out there. And what you guys are doing with Boulder Creek, you guys are just smashing it right now. I told you before the show, you guys are doing really, really good with that. And I'm really, really happy that you are doing well. You're focusing on what people need, what the biggest demands are, and getting into secondary markets where there's going to be bigger returns, and working with like workforce housing and working with people who are looking to get in from their housing to their multifamily and building that up. That in itself is absolutely phenomenal. And you've got a lot, there's just so many good things going on there. And
No, yeah, appreciate it. It's a tough road, for both of our avenues for sure. And I like, catching up with you. I see you on the real estate meetups, obviously, when we all have time to get out. And
I need to get better at going. Me personally, I need to go out. I need to get better at reaching out to people on Zoom and reaching out to people. Ever since COVID-19 has been taking place, and ever since I haven't really had a chance to really go out and physically meet people or physically go out or set up Zoom calls. I need to do that more and more often. My wife is a superstar at getting Zoom meetings. She meets with her girls all day long on Zoom, and she's really good at that. I need to take a page out of her playbook to do that more and more often.
Yeah. Well, hopefully we could do that, and have personal meetups too, because there's being in the same room with someone is still I think number one. Hopefully people don't get too comfortable with only meeting virtual, because as sitting across from them, having lunch or something can't beat that for sure.
I definitely miss my thing. You're seeing a lot of people mentally. You're seeing so many people mentally who are on the physical outside on their Facebook, they're doing well, but I know internally a lot of people are struggling right now.
Mm-hmm.
I had a friend of mine on Facebook who was really big on like real estate media. I saw, and she was needing some recommendations. She wasn't doing well mentally, and she has a young son and a very supportive partner, and she'd recently moved, and she was killing it in the real estate media world. And because of her, I got reintroduced to yoga, and because of that, and I reached out and I said, hey, it's going to be okay. Love to talk with you and just catch up. You have a lot of people. Unfortunately, you've seen a lot more people kill themselves because they can't be able to reach out and hug them.
Right.
Heck, Whitney, with Whitney, I know her mental health, because she hasn't been able to see her girlfriend. She thrives off of her girls and thrives off of seeing people.
Right.
I haven't been able to go out, and because we're having a baby so soon, that makes it that much harder to really go out and see people. But going out and for your mental health, just going out, even if it's like you're 10 feet apart, wearing masks, protecting yourself, even if you're 10 feet apart, sitting apart in a campfire, you're still going to be really successful. It's still going to be really, really good for you to do that. And it's good for your mental health.
I
And
agree.
I think it's just good. And I think at the end of the day, you'll feel at peace getting to see people, even if it may not be a good interaction, just seeing people physically. And you know what the day I cannot wait for? I cannot wait for the day I can go into a senior living facility or meet somebody, shake their hand again, give them a pat on the back and say, it's always good to see you.
Right, right.
I cannot wait for that day again, because that's how business thrives. I mean, it's a handshake business. I mean,
Right.
obviously I have contracts, but that is the day I'm looking forward to.
Sounds good. No, that's it will be here. It will be here.
It will be. I'd say this time next year, it'll get back to a quasi normal.
Right, right. Hopefully sooner than later.
Hopefully.
Other than that, I think we are going to wrap it up. One more thing to always forget, uh, for the MAREI side of this, Kim always has me said, I always forget sometimes, is if members want to be part of the MAREI environment here, it's $4.99 a year or $135 a quarter. Be on the website, newsletter, stuff like that, and just get information for MAREI membership or partners in general off MAREI.org.
You're frozen.
I don't know if that hopefully came through, but check out MAREI.org/membership if you want to become part of the MAREI group. Other than that, Aaron, thanks for joining us today. Good luck on business, and I'm sure we'll get you back again and we'll get an update on the market.
John, always a pleasure. Thank you so much for this. I'll go ahead and send over I'll send over the links to you. You should be getting that in the next 5 to 10 minutes. Again, John, thank you so much for doing what you're doing. Congrats on everything you're doing. I know you're working your butt off, and you and your partners are really getting deals done. And I'm incredibly happy for you. And I can't wait to see what you're doing. I can't wait to see you again very soon.
Yeah, let's meet up.
Amen. We gotta.
Bye.
Bye now.